Recorded Books and One Click Digital present What Your Doctor May Not Tell You About Menopause by John R. Lee with Virginia Hopkins. Narrated by Christina Moore. Introduction. The change. Every adult woman in North America and other industrialized countries knows what these words refer to: the change of life that occurs with menopause. Those who have entered into menopause know it by their own experience. Others know the experience of their mothers, an older sister, or a friend. They've heard the stories of the hot flashes and night sweats, the mood swings, the vaginal dryness, and the sagging breasts and fatter hips. They vow and pray to somehow never let it happen that way to them. They fear the loss of sexual enjoyment that menopause may portend. They see older women shrunken and bent with osteoporosis and cannot visit an older friend in a nursing home without some dread that this may be their destiny too. But they also know from other older women who are vigorous and full of life that this deterioration is not universal with all women. What, they wonder, makes the difference, and what can be done to remain vital and healthy? Menopause, after all, is not a disease, but only a transition between one's childbearing years and the large segment of life that follows, when one no longer need be concerned with monthly menstrual bleeding and the possible responsibilities of pregnancy. Womanly intuition tells them that menopause is not a mistake of Mother Nature, a design error from which there's no escape. Women in many other cultures appear to make this transition without all the problems we see here. Are they merely more stoic, or do they have no audience for their complaints? Do they, in fact, sail through the change without any particular problem? Is there a difference? And if so, what makes it so? Many writers on the subject of menopause remind us that the general lack of medical history detailing menopausal changes in ages past can be explained by the shorter average lifespan common in earlier times. They point out that many mammals remained fertile throughout their lives, and perhaps Mother Nature intended women to simply die when they were no longer able to carry children. This argument implies that our longer average lifespan is an unnatural extension of life created by our food abundance and improved medical care. Such reasoning is fallacious and should be put to rest. Average lifespan does not mean that the average person died at such and such an age. It merely means that the age of death for a sufficiently large number of people born during a certain time period was recorded and used to calculate a numerical average. If, for example, during this time period, half of the children died before age 2 and all the others lived to be 80, the average lifespan would be about 40 years. Or if no children died, and everyone lived until 40 and then died, their average lifespan would also be 40 years. As it turns out, our longer lifespan is due almost solely to the decrease in childhood deaths from infectious diseases. There were plenty of older women in European and American cultures during previous centuries. The average lifespan of our first 7 presidents was longer than that of our most recently dead 7 presidents. St. Patrick, of Irish fame, is credited with living from A.D. 385 to 461, and this, 76 years, was not thought to be particularly unusual at the time. Socrates was given poison hemlock to bring about his death in 399 B.C. when he was 70 years old. His contemporary, Plato, lived from 427 to 347 B.C., 80 years, and was not thought to be remarkably old. Though these examples are male, there's no time in history when women did not typically outlive males. I think we could safely discard the average lifespan argument as a basis for the lack of historical reports of menopause as a crisis in women's lives. Others might argue that women's illnesses were not of sufficient importance to be included in medical writings of ages past. This, too, doesn't wash. Even though the typical doctor-historian was male, he wouldn't refrain from writing about his success in treating such an important female malady if it existed. Another argument I've heard is that the women's rights movement has used their media access to overstate the case.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?